Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about brain-computer interfaces, more specifically Neuralink. Essentially, what Neuralink is, it would be a brain-computer interface. Currently, how we interact with machines is painfully slow. At worst we type on our smartphones with our thumbs, which is really slow method of input. But our own personal input into our brains is really quick. We get visual information, we get incredible amounts of information by hearing and visual pathways in our brains, but our output through our fingers is just incredibly slow. Now, brain-computer interfaces would fix that. It would equalize the speed at the rate of which information is flowing out and flowing back in, so it would tremendously revolutionize and change the way that we interact with machines, and it will become increasingly more important once we have artificial intelligence systems that are becoming near human level. So the best way to sort of manage through AI would be if we could actually link ourselves together with this. The latest breakthrough of Neuralink, currently we have been able to put electrodes into people's brains, around 100 or so electrodes, which is quite, crude, still the first kind of steps, crude, but still being able with these few tens of electrodes to help people train some kind of robotic hand and to move a cursor on a screen and so forth. What Neuralink came up with is something that has an order of magnitude more connections. So instead of 100, they have a version that has 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000 electrodes, which is incredible breakthrough. And this would allow much more precise controlling and information exchange from the brain to the computer and the computer to the brain. One of the things that this would revolutionize would be the way that we interact with computers. Right now we're so used to this way, we're living in a kind of more or less high-tech society, but the way that we put information in is still incredibly slow. Once we have this system implanted into our heads, and it's always with these technologies, like no one wants to realistically cut open their head and put some electrodes in there. People are like, oh, like no, don't want to do that. There will come a time when it will be so good and it will have so many good consequences, and it will just make so much sense in cost benefit analysis that it just makes sense. It's like, do it. It's like having a pacemaker or getting a vaccine or whatever thing that we take for granted right now. It will make so much obvious sense, because if you can communicate with your machines like 100 times faster than you would by just typing like a caveman, that will have obvious benefits. So the way we interact with internet and machines will change incredibly. Our access to information and speed of access will change incredibly. Now, there are two really important parts to this that will truly revolutionize the way we live our lives. One would be connecting with artificial intelligence. Imagine if you had a new part of your brain that's incredibly fast, quick, clever, does all the things that you are really bad at. So remembering things, calculating things, pure logic kind of problems. A part of your brain that's really good at that, and it's just enhanced and sort of with you in your everyday life. How much would that change our world and experience of the world? How much that would change our everyday interaction with the world, especially if everyone would have it, not just the very wealthy. Of course, with these technologies, at first it's the very sick people who truly need it for mental reasons, some physical mental reasons. Then it might be really wealthy people, but eventually, just like smartphones, it will get more and more common until eventually everyone could have it, as the demand will drive the price down and it gets more better and more quality and so on. But maybe one of the most incredible things would be that it will forever change the way that we as human beings communicate with each other. Since right now we have this thing, language, which is quite good. Like, without language it would be pretty hopeless, because I could have a bunch of ideas in my head, but I would have no way to communicate them to you. right now we're like, it's like, okay, like we can use body language and tone of voice and the way we're speaking, and if two people get on the same sort of frequency of talking, they can sort of get a really good idea of what the other person truly means. That's, I think, really amazing. But in normal everyday interaction, when you're speaking with coworkers, people you see in the street, you don't have that time to settle into that sort of vibe and level of like understanding that you could truly understand what the other person means. So thus a lot of conflict, misunderstanding, pretty much common thing in everyday life. However, if we had these brain computer interfaces, not only would we be able to connect to artificial systems, we would be able to connect to each other. And before all the panic, I would say that definitely this is a system where you could toggle it on or off. It wouldn't be just that like every stranger around the world would have access to your brain without your permission. No, it would be something that you really discreetly choose what you share, when you share, and with whom you would share it. But this would forever change the way we communicate. If so many times when we feel misunderstood, imagine truly being understood, like what you're really feeling right now at this moment when you say a certain thing, when you say you feel a certain way. Right now you just speak with someone like how you're feeling, to say, I'm okay. How much information does that give you? Not that much. You just make your own general assumptions from your preconceived notions. But if you had a brain computer interface, we would know exactly what that means. I'm okay. That could mean so many different things, and this would bring people so much closer together, and I think it would profoundly change the world forever and reduce conflict and misunderstandings drastically. Like it can't even be imagined or illustrated how much it would change relationships, human relationships. That is incredible, and also it would be a brilliant way for us to control these ever-increasing intelligent machines that we are building. So, incredible time to be alive, and I'm just excited to see where this technology will lead. So just fascinating. So I strongly urge you to look at the presentation that Elon Musk did about the new Neuralink system. It's fascinating what they're able to do, and they present it as like no big deal. We just how this like orders of magnitude better thing than anything invented before. Now we can communicate with machines. We just did it, which is quite amazing. So this is just some ideas and thoughts, and just an overview of the brain machine computer machine brain interface and Neuralink in itself. So I hope there are a few interesting ideas in here. If you have any thoughts, please share them in the comments, and of course, thank you so much for watching, and take care.